We all have that desire. But determination, you know the difference? Determination is desire with passion. That's the difference. Men of faith, we need to have that determination, not a desire. A desire says, look, I want to be a better man. I want to be a man of faith. I want to be a good father. I want to be a good husband. And you walk out these doors and you forget about it. And you say, well, it's not that big deal. We need men with not a desire, but men that are determined to allow God to change and dictate their life. Men that are determined to say, I want to be a good father. I want to be a great husband. I want to be a champion for the Lord. Determination. That's how these things happen. To say, look, I'm not going to let anybody else dictate my life but me and the Lord. And I come in second to Him. He leads and He guides and He directs me. And I'm giving you an open door, God. I'm giving you an open door to come in and dig deep and begin to transform me. That's not easy. It's not easy to say, Lord, it's all you. It's none of me. I've got some issues. I know I've got some issues. And I'm giving you the key and an open door to transform me into your image. We need men of determination, not a quick desire that comes and goes, that's led by emotion. We need men that's going to take the challenge and say yes to God, yes to your wife, yes to your children, yes to your church, and yes to your God. Men of faith, be a man of determination. Choose you this day who you will serve. And don't let other things serve you. Don't allow idols. Don't follow and serve your idols. Don't follow and serve your selfish desires. Don't allow worry to dictate your life. Don't allow doubt to dictate your life. Fear to dictate your life. Apathy to dictate your life. You be a man of determination and you dictate your life, who you're going to be. Because guess what? You're moving in a direction, whether you know or not. You're moving in a direction to be a man of courage, surrender, and faith, or not. You're one or the other. Which will you be? You make up that decision. But if you just say no, then you're saying yes to everything that God isn't. You make up that man. Joshua wanted others to decide wholeheartedly whom they will serve. A man of determination understands that in order to move forward under God's love and conditions and leading, it must be wholehearted with everything that you've got. That's what determination is, with everything that you've got. Desire is just half-hearted, when you feel like it, when you want to. If you're going to be great leaders and champions for the Lord, it must be with your whole heart. You must give Him everything. And Joshua was saying, hey, look, don't be lukewarm. Don't be halfway. Be all the way. Go for all of it. Allow everything to the Lord. And guess what? When you do that, God will make a masterpiece of your life. He will change you. Maybe you did get started on the wrong foot. He will guide and He will straighten the crooked path. How do you know? Because that's me. And I'm sure that's many of you all. Men of faith, allow God to dictate the tempo of your life. Be a man of conviction. He said in verse 15, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That's leadership. That's leadership in the home. That's a father. That is a husband. That is a man of faith, of courage, of surrender. Is that a statement that you say? More importantly, is that a statement that you live? As for me and my house. Is that a statement that maybe have not been said, but your wife knows it to be true by what they see in you? Your children see in you. Do you live a lifestyle that says, as for me and my, not just me and my house, we will serve the Lord. We need families serving the Lord together. Fathers, you dictate the tempo of the home as well. We need men to lead and be a champion in their home. And number 3, Joshua was an example for all. He was an example. He was a man that was devoted. He was a man of conviction. And he was an example for all to see. Everyone. After his final challenge, watching a life of surrender and devotion to God and courage and allowing and leading other people. Verse 18, it says this, we too will serve the Lord because He is our God. At the end of this speech, this challenge to His people, as His days are winding down, they said, look, we have seen your leadership. We have seen God work through you. And we want the same. His example was strong. And they said, look, we will do the same. We too will serve. Joshua was a man who was respected as leader and showed strength and courage in tough situations. He lived out what he was taught, and others trusted him with their lives and their futures. Fathers, men, does what you say match what they see? Does what you say match what people see? What your wife sees, your children sees, those around you? Are they tied together? Or are you a man that likes to say what is supposed to happen and do otherwise? We need men to say and live, to be an example, to be a role model. There are people all through our community that are needing role models, investors, examples of what a godly man looks like. There are people needing investing. There are our kids out there that are needing a father figure in their life. There are kids in our own church that we need to be investing in to be a father figure. We are supposed to be a community, living together, helping each other out. And what is lacking in today's church are men to stand up and take their place. That's what's lacking in the church today. And I challenge you to find and take your place as leader and champion in the church and in the home. And pray for your family. Pray for your wife. Pray for your children. Pray for the church. And they'll go be what God has called us to be. Be a great dad. Be a great father. King David was an excellent warrior, a legendary king, a great worshiper, great writer, but a lousy dad. David had all the bases covered in his life, but in his old age, he would pay dearly for the failure as a father. Be careful that we don't do all the service projects and we're here when things break down, and we're here for Bible study, and we're here for Sunday morning service. We're here for everybody else but our own home. We're here for everybody else but for our own children. Be a great father. Be a great man. We need men in the church today. You may have been born male, but it takes true courage to be a man. It takes courage to be a man. It takes courage to take the responsibilities that we know we have. It takes courage to take them and say yes to them. It takes courage to be a good husband when things are going on in your home and there's conflict because the enemy is after you and you just feel the conflict. It is our responsibility to bring the peace and the joy back in, not to escalate the conflict. And because we're men and we just like to get the final word in, and we think that, look, guess what? Because I'm a man and I'm the leader, I'm going to get the final word in, and that's my duty. Wrong. It's not your duty. Your duty as leader and a man and a husband and a father is when there's conflict in the home, your duty and your responsibility is to bring back the peace and the harmony and the joy. That's your responsibility. That is your duty. That is what we're supposed to do when we talk about dictating the tempo and the tone of the home. Not to win the argument or talk louder or even pick up a chair and fling it. Our role is to find the joy and the peace, even if you're men, even if you're right. Sometimes we are, not all the time, but even if you're right. But it's going to allow chaos and conflict to remain in the home. Absorb it. Absorb the blow. Even if in a conversation, absorb the blow. If you're right and your wife or your son, absorb the blow and take the hit. Even if you don't deserve it. Why? That's the responsibility of a husband. That's the responsibility of a leader. It's not to win the argument. It's to keep the peace and the joy and the unity in your home. That is your responsibility of a man. 11 words men should use to set the tone as leader in their home. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Is that the tempo of your home? Is that the atmosphere in your home? Is that what you lead by? Is that your guide? Is that your standard? Is that what they see and hear in you every single day when you're tired, when you got full of life, when you're weighed down, when all is well? Is that what they see in you? We have no time for a letdown. We have to carry the weight even when the burdens are so heavy. We must continue the walk, continue the journey, and be God's champion, be God's leader. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I will be a man of faith. Will you? When it's all said and done, my prayer is this: that I will be called faithful. I want to be called faithful. And people are counting on me. And through His strength, I want to deliver. Be a man of faith. Be a faithful man, a faithful husband, a faithful father, a faithful role model people can follow and love. Do you know, during the last part of Joshua's generation, Joshua went on, and shortly after he went on home to be with the Lord. And I read to you verse 18 where it says, we too will follow. That generation followed God the way Joshua did. The next did not. The next did not. The only thing better than living a faithful life, and that is to teach, encourage, and inspire, and to live a faithful life in front of people, in front of young people, what they hear and what they see in you. Don't want this generation just to live a faithful life. We want the generations that follow to live a faithful life. You see, Joshua did his job, and the generation after him followed. That generation did not. My father is the first in our family line to say yes to Jesus Christ. He is the first one to say yes to Jesus Christ. His family followed him. I followed him as the oldest son. My brother, my sister, as a family, we follow the Lord. Now my son has said yes to Jesus Christ. And he is at a church right now, probably leading worship during invitation. Because my dad said yes so long ago and lived the life. And I heard and I saw. And he was an example to me. And he dictated the pace of the home. And I followed. And I did likewise. And now my son, and maybe in a year, maybe 5, as he says, he will have the kids and do likewise. My dad has started a legacy. He started a legacy. And he was all by himself, sitting in a basement, reading a tract, and said yes to God. And because he said yes to God, it changed the whole course of our family. Say yes to Him. Be a champion for Him. Maybe you did get started off on the wrong foot, but that can change with His power and His guidance. Be a man, a champion, a father, a husband that you always wanted to be. We need men of faith. We're going to show a clip and a challenge to be a man of faith. Be that man today.
I now believe that God desires for every father to courageously step up and do whatever it takes to be involved in the lives of his children. But more than just being there, providing for them, he's to walk with them through their young lives and be a visual representation of the character of God, their Father in heaven. The father should love his children and seek to win their hearts. He should protect them, discipline them, and teach them about God. He should model how to walk with integrity and treat others with respect. He should call out his children to become responsible men and women who live their lives for what matters in eternity. Some men will hear this and mock it or ignore it. But I tell you that as a father, you are accountable to God for the position of influence He has given you. You can't fall asleep at the wheel, only to wake up one day and realize that your job or your hobbies have no eternal value, but the souls of your children do. Some men will hear this and agree with it, but have no resolve to live it out. Instead, they will live for themselves and waste the opportunity to leave a godly legacy for the next generation. But there are some men who, regardless of the mistakes we've made in the past, regardless of what our fathers did not do for us, will give the strength of our arms and the rest of our days to loving God with all that we are, and to teach our children to do the same. And whenever possible, to love and mentor others who have no father in their lives, but who desperately need help and direction. And we are inviting any man whose heart is willing and courageous to join us in this resolution. In my home, the decision has already been made. You don't have to ask who will guide my family, because by God's grace, I will. You don't have to ask who will teach my son to follow Christ, because I will. Who will accept the responsibility of providing and protecting my family? I will. Who will ask God to break the chain of destructive patterns in my family's history? I will. Who will pray for and bless my children to boldly pursue whatever God calls them to do? I am their father. I will. I accept this responsibility, and it is my privilege to embrace it. I want the favor of God and His blessing on my home. Any good man does. So where are you, men of courage? Where are you, fathers who fear the Lord? It's time to rise up and answer the call that God has given to you, and to say, I will. I will. I will.
Very powerful video, but very true. Decision needs to be made.